When I first came to Japan, I came by myself. And I remember the first time I stepped into that airport in Narita, I was so overwhelmed. I was so scared I was actually shaking. You know, there's not much English even in the airport, and I had to find a bus or a train to get all the way into Tokyo, and it can be extremely overwhelming. The best advice I can give is take a deep breath, and if you need help, ask for assistance.
People will be very, very willing to help you, and I've had people find me wandering along the streets at night. This is true. And a young gentleman, I stopped and I kind of waved my hands and said, I have no idea where I'm going. I did not have my phrase book with me. And he very kindly walked me about a kilometer to the train station. And so when you come to Japan, you can expect the most wonderful, polite treatment on earth.
One of the most helpful things for getting around is just knowing a few simple phrases. For me, sumimasen, which means excuse me, that's probably the most helpful phrase. I mean, you can use it when you kind of bump into somebody by accident. You can use it to get somebody's attention. You can use it as I'm sorry, more or less a very simple way of saying I'm sorry.
The advice I'd give is realize that there's a reason why people do all these different things that really don't make sense to us. Everything is built around the concept that they don't have much space. And as a result, there's small refrigerators. And as a result, there's small packages in the store.
The toilets here are as technologically advanced as the toilets are on Star Trek. So do not be alarmed if you walk into a public washroom, and you'll need a degree in engineering to figure out the 75 or so different buttons that you can push in your use of the public restroom. My advice is don't touch anything. Just kind of walk out the door and wave, and everything will look after itself.
In Japan, they have a really different idea of cleanliness than we have in America. Usually they'll offer you slippers, and they really want you to wear the slippers, even though sometimes for people with big feet they're more like toe warmers. But it's important to wear the slippers because they typically keep their wood floors very, very clean, and wearing your slippers will help keep those floors clean. Then though, when you go into the tatami room, you have to take the slippers off. And so the best rule of thumb is whatever you see your host doing, do the same thing. Typically, most shops you don't have to take off your shoes. Some restaurants you will, and some churches you will. It really depends on what kind of church it is.
You can get pretty much any item that you can get in America. I mean, it's a big city, so you can get, of course, toothpaste. Any bathroom needs at all. A lot of snacks.
Snacks? Oh, this is a snacker's heaven. And you can also get strips of dried squid to snack on as well. You can get very Japanese snacks, and you can get very American snacks.
Japan is kind of magical. You'll see a really narrow street, and you'll think there's no way 2 cars, 1 bike, and 3 pedestrians can fit through the street, but they can. The thing about Japanese streets is there's always more space. Even if you can't see it, there's still space for 1 more bike to get through. It's true, I've seen it.
Everything has to be separated into certain places because sometimes it goes to different spots, that each area has their own rules about what is the different types of garbage.
I do know that the label that comes on the bottle, you have to actually tear that off, put that in the plastic bin, to the clean plastic bin, and then the bottle itself goes somewhere else. I think the lid you put somewhere else as well.
I think one of the greatest chunks of advice I got back when I was living in the South and couldn't speak Japanese, but I was attending a Japanese Bible study, is one of the ladies said to me, always train yourself to listen, no matter how busy your head is. But train yourself to listen so that you're hearing what people are saying to you, and you also picking up on the nonverbal clues.
A lot of the information are embedded in the context and not so much expressed clearly or verbalized. So you really have to be observant and just learn from what others are doing or how they're reacting to things.
I think the most important thing that I've learned is how to be a good listener. I think that in just normal conversations and things like that with friends and with family, you get used to always quickly talking to people and really just keeping the conversation going and things like that. But I've learned the importance of just being present and sitting and listening and learning how to take time to be quiet and just when there's time to talk and when there's a time to listen. And I think that I've realized the importance of just having that quietness, and particularly the word present, what it means to just be present with people and really listen to their stories.
And we just made her happy in the smallest way by cleaning her garden, because she was telling us that she and her husband had spent years and years planting that. And so when you get to hear people's stories, it really builds a connection with people. And a lot of the people realize that a lot of the foreigners coming over are Christians, and it makes them really curious about Christianity, that the Christians would stay this long still to help them out. And being able to appreciate the traditional Japanese church and worship alongside of the people, even though the style may not be something that really excites you. It might be, you might think it's boring, but to the people in that church, this is how they worship God.
The fact that we're going there, that says a whole lot to them, whereas, for me, it just might seem like, oh, well, I mean, of course, you kind of do that. The work you're going to be doing, it might not always seem glamorous, it might not always seem even that useful, but just the fact that you're there, it means so much to people. It shows them that they're not forgotten.
I questioned what it was to be a truck driver, but I realized that God really found the skills that I have, the talents that He has given me, and He's given me an opportunity to really use it to serve Him. And at times I didn't see how, some of the skill sets He gave me will really help, but in the end, reflecting back after 7-8 months with Crash, I realized that He really had a plan for me, and He really knew that I would be best utilized here at NASA Warehouse.
We're really not the heroes, God is the hero of this story, and He really wants to show these people His love, and we're really privileged that He'll use us for that.
I have become all things to all people,
that by all means
I may save some.
I do it all for the sake of the
gospel, that I may share
in its blessings.
1 Corinthians 9:22
and 23. This is the word of the Lord.